Good afternoon, friends. This video I'm recording on important topic and burning one, whether GST credit can be denied to the recipient and buyer for fault of supplier of non-payment of taxes. It is one of the condition under section 16 subsection 2 clause C of CGST Act. Unless supplier pays the taxes to the government exchequer, credit would be denied to the recipient and buyer of goods or services. Question is, why credit would be denied to the recipient and buyer, who is a bona fide one, paid the taxes to the supplier, and supplier defaulted, he has not deposited the taxes to the government exchequer. What are the background? Lot of notices are coming to the taxpayers. Tax consultant are asking this question, whether credit can be denied to the recipient and buyer. This video mainly on this particular topic. I will take you to the pre-GST era. In pre-GST era, central excise, of which credit available by way of Sunbed credit, Honorable Supreme Court in the case of KK Industries has held, credit can't be denied to the buyer recipient for fault of supplier of non-payment of taxes. If we go to VAT regime, there are lot many judgment from different high court. Importantly, in Delhi VAT, Honorable Delhi High Court in the case of Arise India Limited has said credit can't be denied to the recipient and buyer for fault of supplier of non-payment of taxes. SLP was preferred against this Delhi High Court judgment, which was dismissed without any discussion on merit. But there are lot many judgments from different high court under VAT regime that for fault of supplier of non-payment of taxes, even after collection, credit can't be denied in the hands of recipient and buyer. There is one judgment coming from Maharashtra, Bombay High Court, which is contrary, and in that judgment it is being stated credit can be denied to the buyer, recipient, for fault of supplier of non-payment of taxes. SLP was preferred in Supreme Court, that got dismissed. So this is the only one judgment versus lot of judgment from different high court as on date, saying that credit is available in pre-GST to the buyer, recipient, even though supplier who has faulted with of non-payment of taxes even after collection. In this given situation, this is very important for all of us to analyze what would be way forward in GST regime. In GST regime, writ on this particular point under section 16 subsection 2 clause C, validity and legality of this provision whether credit can be denied to the recipient, buyer, for fault of supplier of non-payment of taxes even after collection. Writ is being filed in Delhi High Court in Bharti Telemedia Limited. Writ got admitted. Notice is being issued to the revenue. And similar kind of writ is being filed in Punjab and Haryana High Court, Rajasthan High Court, Gujarat High Court. But this matter is yet to be decided. Since we all are getting these notices from the department and question is being raised whether credit is available to the bona fide buyer and recipient, I'm capturing this video and putting forth my legal argument. To my mind, credit should be available. I'm saying should be available to the bona fide recipient and buyer. wherein he has paid the taxes to the supplier and supplier defaulted. He has not deposited the taxes with the government exchequer. Now, on what ground? Ground number 1, Article 14. It talks about this violative of Article 14, wherein we are treating defaulting and bona fide recipient at par. Supplier who defaulted with, if he is being treated at par with the bona fide one, is a violative of fundamental right, Article 14. Coming back to another second point, there is one legal maxim which says lex non cogit ad impossibilia, meaning thereby a person should not be compelled to do which is impossible. And to discuss this ground, I can tell you, when GST got introduced in July 1, 2017, it was envisaged there would be automated GST return system which will ensure ITC matching and mismatching. We all know that while filing GST return, we are only filing GSTR1, which gets auto-populated in GSTR2A. And this GSTR2A came only sometime in 2019. Prior to that, it was not available. And even when it came in the beginning, it was not visible in GSTR2A whether supplier has paid the taxes or not. Challenge was there. So we were asking recipient to do something, compelling recipient to do something which is impossible. So what happened when GST got introduced? GSTR 2 and 3 was not introduced while filing the GST return system. Had it been continued, GSTR 1 auto-populated in 2A, then GSTR 2, then auto-populated in 1A, then finalizing GSTR 3, had it continued, because this is the backbone of ITC matching and mismatching provision. Section 37, 38, 39, 41, 42. ITC matching was banking on this particular return system, this automated GST return system, which was not introduced properly. Government has withdrawn GSTR 2 and 3 since July 2017. When this mechanism, which is envisaged for ITC matching and mismatching, is not there, how someone can compel the recipient to cross-check? And I'm just highlighting, GSTR 2A only came sometime in 2019. Prior to that, recipient was not aware of whether supplier is paying the taxes or not. When GSTR 2A came first time, then also there was a challenge that recipient was not aware of whether supplier is paying the taxes or not. Then why recipient would be compelled to do something which is impossible? When government has not implemented that GST return system, which was envisaged as ITC matching and mismatching, and they have not introduced GSTR 2 and 3 as automated return system, why recipient would be compelled and denied GST credit for fault of supplier, who even after collection not paid the taxes? Next ground, item number 3. If any so-called notice to be issued under section 73, non-fraud case, under section 74, fraud case, it is only to the person who is chargeable to tax, supplier, not to the recipient. Legal validity of 73 and 74 can be challenged, where the so-called notice can be issued for denial of credit in the hands of recipient and buyer for fault of supplier, who even after collection not paid the taxes. At most, the so-called notice can be issued only to the defaulting supplier who has not paid even after collection. Coming to the broad analogy, when we know that now government is modifying the existing GST return system and making the data available to the buyer recipient, whether supplier has paid the taxes or not. This is happening now. GSTR 2A is now showing whether supplier has paid the taxes or not. A new return which is statement of ITC GSTR 2B got introduced and going to be introduced, which is static ITC statement, and data will flow for the input tax credit from GSTR 2B to GSTR 3B, and it is going to show with a supplier, and this statement going to say that this supplier is paying the taxes or not. When this information is made available, now can be complained for the past period. Since July 2017, my humble request, the government authority, those who are watching this video, kindly explain what was the fault of recipient. When he was not having any mechanism to check and verify, 2A got introduced sometime in 2019. Initially, it was not showing whether supplier has paid the taxes or not. Later it started. So for the past period, there is a genuine demand for the buyer, recipient, that such credit should be available. If at all any legal course of action to be taken, it must be taken against defaulting supplier, but credit should not be denied in the hands of recipient or buyer. They are bona fide, they are honest. As a way forward, this is my humble submission to the government that this provision must be looked into without having ITC machinery provision, matching machinery provision, that automated GST return system. When GSTR 2 and 3 withdrawn from July 17, you cannot ask recipient to do something which is impossible. It only started sometime in 2019. Now you are revamping the modified GST return system where it is coming that whether supplier has paid the taxes or not. So maybe as a way forward, all the buyers and recipient must take precaution. They must check their GSTR 2A, now way forward GSTR 2B, whether supplier is paying the taxes or not, because now this information is available. So responsibility for recipient and buyer to ensure that whatever credit they are taking in GSTR 3B should be cross-checked and verified with GSTR 2A and GSTR 2B, which is static input tax credit statement now, and data are going to be auto-populate for transition time period for credit from 2B to GSTR 3B. But for the past period, once again, with closing remarks, having no ITC machinery provision, which was envisaged under section 37, 38, 39, 41, 42, and no enabling provision. For the past period, government must look into this subject matter. Instead of raising demand, they must check that this recipient, who is a bona fide one, honest one, should not be denied credit for fault of supplier. If at all so-called notice to be issued, and to my mind 73 and 74 can be issued only to the supplier, not to the recipient. As per my reading, I given my humble view, leaving it to you. But as a way forward, my only request to all the taxpayers, take credit, check credit as per GSTR 2A and 2B, which is now getting auto-populated in GSTR 3B. But for the past period, once again, a humble submission to make GST good and simple tax, make corresponding amendment to a particular time period, cut-off time period, so that bona fide recipient and buyer gets the credit. Only the defaulting supplier should be penalized. Department know about them. This is my humble submission. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much.